Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. We'll chant verse 6. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhishthaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. Ajopya sannavyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhishthaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. Though I am unborn, ajaha, of imperishable nature, avyayatma, and the Lord of beings, bhutanam ishvaraha, presiding over my own prakriti, which is matter, sambhavamyatma mayaya, I am born of my own maya, I am born of my own power. Krishna can't be more confusing than this. Direct contradiction. See, one of the languages these masters speak is they speak a language of contradiction. And the reason the language of contradiction is spoken is just to make us think, to confuse you. And if you are following the master, if you are following the teacher, the logical conclusion is you should be confused. But if you are not following, then does not matter. Mostly do not follow. Oh, very nice, very well you speak. Oh, Lord Krishna has spoken, Sri Bhagavan Vacha. But then what did he say? No attunement. You know, you are not tuned to the teacher. Now, when you even read the translation, there must be a jerk. You must get a jerk. Have any one of you all got the jerk until I mentioned that you should get a jerk? What jerk? Unless you are dozing off. That is a different jerk. Yes, sir. What is the jerk you should get, sir? The jerk or the contradiction you should get even when you read the translation. What is the contradiction? First word he says, I am unborn. He concludes by saying, I am born. Now, if you are a student of Krishna, Lord Krishna, can you please clarification? Can you be very clear, make up your mind, are you born or unborn? What are you? Straightforward, it is direct contradiction. Born of Maya. But then he says, I am unborn, then he says, I am born. So, the message here I did mention to you all, the message here is little subtle, it demands a little stretch. I am preparing you all, hopefully you have done your necessary warm up and come. Now, let me go through step by step the different aspects what the verse is saying. Now, when he firstly says ajaha, I am unborn, I refers to the Atman. Now, whenever they use the word I, the Atman, the consciousness, you can call it the reality, Brahman, is unborn. Whenever there is no birth, means there is no death. Birth and death only creates change. So, when they say I am unborn, they are saying Atman is the changeless entity. Atman is not subject to change. Everything else changes except the Atman. That is what they are saying. And where is the Atman? Atman is right within you. Nay, Atman thou art. It is not that God or Atman is somewhere in the yonder, in the beyond the hills, beyond the 7 hills. It is not there somewhere in the mountains, it is not somewhere far away, it is right within me. So much so, it is not within me, it is that thou art, you are that very truth. So, when we come across this knowledge, you come to an assertion, some point in your life you will come to a realization that I am that. So, the greatest declaration of men of realization is Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. So, when you come to understand that God is that changeless entity, never ever relate to God as a third party. Do not address God as if it has got nothing to do with you. Whenever you think of God, whenever you come across this concept of Brahman, understand that is your true nature. You are that very reality. Now, when you say that, what does it further mean? It means with you as a individual, you will be subjected to change and suffering if you do not identify with the Brahman. But he amongst us who identifies with the Brahman, the reality, will not be affected by the change that happens around the Atman. Are you all following? How many of you not following? Raise your hand. Are you serious? I will try to clarify it. See, what I am saying is, an individual is a combination of spirit and matter. If a fundamental definition of a human being is spirit and matter. The spirit, no doubt, undoubtedly is the Atman, Brahman, the reality, which its nature, he says, is changeless. And then you have the individual matter, which constitutes of the known definition, the body, the mind, the intellect. So far so good. Now, the nature of the body, mind, intellect, the nature of matter is it changes, it perishes. Your body is subjected to change, your mind goes through change, your intellect goes through change, and the world that you interact with is constantly changing. Now, change, in other words, is nothing but what is philosophically change? What does change do to you? Impermanent, but what does that change do to you? Yes, it changes its form, its nature, its characteristics, but what does change do to you? What does it do? Any change? It affects you. There is a cause of sorrow and suffering or pain in a change. Don't we associate change to pain? Now, as an individual, if you are identifying with the world or the body or the mind or the intellect, what would happen to you? You will also go through change, because the world, the body, the mind, the intellect also are constantly changing. Isn't it? Let's say when your body is not feeling well, what would you say? I am not well, I am sick, you say. How do you say I am sick? What is the I, sir? Sorry? I always means the self. It has become the body. So what happens? You have subjected yourself to the body, and whatever the body is subjected to, you become it. You suffer the consequences of whatever the body is going through. Or you say, I am very healthy. What is the characteristics of health? It is not the characteristics of the Atman, it is the characteristics of the body, not the soul. It is the characteristics of the body part. Body falls sick, body is healthy, body is weak, body is strong. These are the characteristics of the physical body. I have a huge profit, I have had a terrible loss. Profit and loss is a characteristic of profit and loss is a characteristics of what? Mind. Money. Money na? Material world. Wealth. Grosser than body is matter. So the world goes through fluctuation. What was happening other day at stock market, sir? How many lakhs of dollars were? 7 lakh crores of financial loss happened in a single day, isn't it? Stock market fluctuation. So let's say if you have invested something in the stock and the stock has plummeted unrealistically, it gives you a jolt. Why would it give you a jolt? You say, oh, I have gone through terrible loss, all my stocks have gone in a loss. Loss is a matter of fact, but when you say I have gone through a loss, what does it mean? You have identified with matter, so it matters to you. If you have not identified with it, it does not matter. It would not matter so much, big deal, yeah. That is the nature of the world, that is the fluctuation which happens, change. Fluctuation happens at the physical, same thing if the emotions are catered, you are happy, somebody does not cater to your emotions, you are very unhappy. You say, I am not in good mood today, etc., etc., etc. So the I is the changeless, everything else changes, man. I was only trying to convey that. You can understand that through this. Which we mentioned last week as well. The beings die. When a human being dies, the Atman does not die in him. When a human being is born, the Atman is not born, there is no birth and death to the Atman. So God in you, the spirit in you, the Atman in you never dies, that is eternal. Okay? And then he says, I am the Lord of beings. When you say the Lord, Lord means what? Go back to the same equation of spirit plus matter. The spirit or the consciousness is that which lords the matter. It is the supreme commander, it controls the matter. It is the Ishvara, it is the supreme lord, it is the highest command with which everything is happening. In that sense, is a controller. Now, in a layman's term, I will have to take an example. Let us say if you go to a country which is most disciplined, huh? Can you think of a country? Now you might say, sir, you only have seen little bit of the world and you keep talking of it rest of your life. So I don't want to say that. Not that I have seen the world, I have only seen little bit, my little limited experience. But what do you think is the most disciplined country in the world? Some of you must have seen a lot of the world. I would not deny what you are saying, but I am only trying to drive home a particular point. Yeah. Now, just to see from an example perspective, if you take Singapore as they all echoed, as a country you walk in, you find everything seems to be well organized. Nobody would, you would not find police anywhere, policing or supervising or controlling functionality of any system. But everything seems to be in a system, everything functions. People would even dread from Malaysia, people walk in every day into work to Singapore and you are not allowed to carry a chewing gum, which is liberally available across the border in Malaysia, but you would not dare carry that into the country. There is an element of fear amongst the people because of a certain law, of a certain system that is functioning in the country. I know the moment, having driven in Singapore many a time, I know the moment I am above 90, I will be caught. I will be caught. Invariably, I will get a notice. If even I am 92, 93, I will get a notice. Somewhere I will be picked up. So when you are driving in Singapore, you would never cross 90. That is the maximum speed inside Singapore. Fine, it is a fine city, yes. That is what it has got the name. It is a very fine city, F-I-N-E, and there is a pun on the word fine. Now, in fact, imagine you go through a tunnel. I have seen n number of times. There could be 500 or 300 lights in the tunnel. Never ever I have seen a single bulb fused. Like for example, you see the 2 bulbs have been fused for the past more than 6 months I have been seeing. Short of management, it is not being addressed. Now we opened up the doors, there is enough light, but imagine at night the 2 bulbs missing is a bit patch of darkness there. Consciously I have observed every time I go through any specific tunnel, I will keep seeing all the lights are, never you have seen a single bulb fused. Someone is monitoring it, everything is perfect. Now again, approaching from a very limited perspective. Now when you see all these laws functioning meticulously, you only posit a power, authority, a government or a controller who has a grip over the laws and who is implementing these laws. It is just not laws existing and not being implemented. The laws mean something. You will be afraid of breaking the laws there, isn't it? Because you know, I take a chance, I violate it, I am in trouble. I have had this personal experience. I remember sharing it here once. I was going from Malaysia to Singapore driving, and I was carrying all the goods for organizing lectures of my guru. So car was full of books and materials and all the necessary preparation for a public lecture. The car was full, I was alone driving, and I went through the green lane, nothing to declare, and that fellow stopped. And he said, open the booth. Obviously they had to check, and the moment he opened, he saw boxes and boxes of things in the car. He said, what is all this? He said, there are some material of books and things and other necessary arrangement. He said, why did you come into the green lane? Why haven't you declared that you are bringing all this into the country? And then he said, pull to the car to the side. The next 2 hours, I had to unload the entire car Sniffer dogs were sent into the car to ensure I am not carrying any drugs. Short of dismantling the car, they did everything. Short of ripping open the seat. I learned from experience what it means not to follow the rules. So that is there are rules there and you have to abide by it. I do not know whether you are aware, 2-3 years ago or a little longer ago, an Australian was hanged to death because he was found with a few granules of drugs. The Australian Prime Minister, the government went appealing to Singaporean government, please, he is not an addict, proving his history, saying please it is a mistake, something has gone wrong. He said no, we will not, this must be a lesson to the world, you do not play with us, no nonsense with us, and he was hanged for a lesson to world that drugs are not allowed in his country. Not that he had a packet, a few granules. Now what do you gather from all this? A very powerful controller, because the laws are functioning. Now take the same concept, now you may agree or disagree with me, I respect that what you came earlier, but what I am saying, I am borrowing the concept here. When he says I am the Lord of the world, now what is the world made up of? Whosoever that phone is, please switch it off. Tata, oh, Tata also has a phone, huh? Oh, he will help you. What are you trying to help him? He is most tech savvy amongst us in the class. So how do you describe the world? Sorry? Go with the example I have taken. Singapore, when I said everything is nothing but laws. How do you understand the world with the example? World is nothing but laws and laws and laws. What are the laws in the world, sir? Physical laws, chemical laws, biological laws, physiological laws, psychological laws. All these laws are functioning meticulously, aren't they? Very much. You may be aware of it or not, even when Newton discovered that every object is attracted to the center of earth at 9.8 meters per second, when he discovered that, the laws were functioning even before his knowledge. So the laws function meticulously. Now when these laws are functioning meticulously, why are they functioning meticulously? Because they are paying, they are afraid of the controller. So when you see the world functioning meticulously, you posit someone who is above that, very powerful controller, who is the Ishvara, the Lord. So when he says, I am the Lord of the world, the Lord of matter, the Lord of beings, he is the controller of all these laws which govern the world. I am that Lord, I am that commander, controller, the king, you can say the king, kingly state. He is just trying to convey the fact that he is, in fact, the law of all laws is like the court of all courts, the Supreme Court, which governs every other court. It is the highest authority in that sense. Okay? And then he says, presiding over my own matter. My own Prakriti. Who is presiding over Prakriti? Gets a little tricky here. Presiding over my own Prakriti. Who is presiding? Rajima? What is Ishvara? Spirit, the self. Okay, Prakriti here is matter. So in another sense, spirit is presiding over matter. Vasantama, following, yeah? presiding over matter. What does it mean by that? Sumatima, following? Almost you changed the way you nodded your head. Almost you wanted to do like this and suddenly she did like this. Yes sir, following? Spirit presiding over matter. In fact, let us get this statement, write it down, and somehow you got to digest it. Many people say that world is created by God, isn't it? God is the creator, the world is his creation. In fact, world is not created by God, world is God. I know some people disagree with it, but still write it down. World is not created by God, world is God. There is no difference between spirit and matter, they are one and the same. You may say, how do you say that, sir? The characteristics of spirit and the characteristics of matter are different. How can you say spirit and matter are the same? The characteristics of the world and the characteristics of God are different. How can you say world is God? What are the characteristics of the world? Okay, let us put characteristics of spirit. What is the characteristics of spirit? Eternal, all pervading, infinite, just for definition's sake. The characteristics of Brahman is eternal, all pervading, infinite. Now, what is the characteristics of the world? Ephemeral, limited, finite. Exact oppositely, yeah, correct, the opposite. Eternal, all pervasive, infinite. The world is ephemeral, finite or limited, and then finite. How can you say the characteristics of Brahman and world are same? They are not. It seems different, but very much the same. Now, how is it that they are the same yet they are different? Exactly like diamond and charcoal. Diamond and charcoal exactly are the same, and yet diamond and charcoal are contrasting natures, yet their characteristics are the same, because diamond and charcoal are made up of carbon. Yet on one side diamond is brilliant, diamond is sharp, diamond is rare, diamond is expensive. Vis-a-vis charcoal is, what did I say first is, what is the first thing I said? Characteristics of brilliant, opposite of brilliant is dull. Charcoal is next, Vasanti? Cheap. Charcoal you can buy sack full of it, cheap, available. Third, Raleda, it is very so soft you can write on paper. It is very cheap. It is very available. Soft, very brittle, so soft you can write on paper. Then what is the difference? How is the difference comes about? Yet both are same. Yet they are same. They are different because of the what is known as the permutation and combination that makes it different. Similarly, what is the difference between Brahman and the world? It is the sheer permutation combination, that is all. Otherwise there is no difference in spirit of Brahman and matter, which is the world. Spirit and matter are same. Brahman, world is God, world is not created by God, world is God. So a man of realization sees God in the very same world. He does not have to go beyond the world to see God. Having realized it, he sees everything as God, nothing but its own reflection. He is presiding my own prakriti. one can't exist without the other. One can't exist without the other. World cannot exist without Brahman. Pratyush, little difficult painiki. Sariya? Paurush. Little challenging iniki. Sariya? You're following everything, huh? Oh, very good. If you have managed thus far, congratulations. The next is the challenging hurdle. It's like one is running a normal 100-meter sprint, the next is running 110 meters hurdle. I don't know why it becomes 110 meters hurdle. It's not 100 meters hurdle, isn't it? Correct, huh? 110, it becomes 110 meters. I never understood why is it that way. The distance is still the same, huh? You noticed it ever? The Olympics, in athletics, there is this 100-meter sprint vis-a-vis 110 meters hurdle. I have always wondered, I don't know why, maybe you jump, that's the reason I said the stride, maybe, whatever it is. So, if you have found comfortable so far, this is the hurdle. What is the hurdle, ma? Aduppa, enna difficulty poinga? Paurush, what is the difficult part? Vasantama, what is hurdle? I am born out of my own Maya. That is a difficult part to fathom. I am born of my own Maya. It's like the ocean is saying, the waves are born out of my own Maya. What is Maya here? Out of my own power. Isn't what translation is? Maya is the power to create something out of nothing. Now, the ocean is saying, I have that power within me that I create those huge waves. Do you all remember the example, at least the men should remember the example of that Old Spice advertisement? Even the picture, Tata, you remember? Old Spice. The picture also used to be on that bottle, red color bottle, of the wave. And the guy surfing. Unaku eppadi theriyum pa? Nee Brahman madiri pesra nee? How old are you now? 14 liye unaku Old Spice theriyuma? Eppadi pa shave pannaliye nee life la? Abba periya medhavi panni. He goes to the barber shop, he sees Old Spice bottle angaya. Paranga old. Adda very good observation. So still available Old Spice, same old branding, the waves. So those huge mighty waves are the mere sheer Maya, sheer power of the sheer vast expanse of that ocean. Ocean is saying it's my own Maya, I am able to produce waves out of nothing. Now you take the water from the same ocean and put in fill a swimming pool with it, will you get the same wave? Onnume varadu. Don't try that, waste of energy.